Welcome to part 2 of Learning Microsoft AI SDK series. If you haven't watched part 1 already, where we cover installing the AI SDK in your application server, please watch that first because we will be using the demo programs from the installation for testing our run. The link is in the description for that part 1 video. So in this video though, we will be first setting up an Azure Open AI resource using Azure Portal. We will then get the endpoint and the key. These are used for running our model demo program. And then finally, we will switch to SAP Application server and run the model demo program. When we first run the model demo program, there is a chance you will get an error. This will happen if your SAP Application server does not have the required certificates installed. If that is the case, we will go through the steps on installing this certificate and then come back and run the model demo program. So let's go ahead, switch to Azure Portal and then get started setting up our Azure Open AI resource. So we are in Azure Portal and we begin by clicking on Create a Resource. So let's go ahead, click on that plus sign, which is Create a Resource. Now in the search box, let's type OpenAI. And the first thing in the search result will be Azure OpenAI. Let's go ahead, create that. If you have a resource group, go ahead, select the resource group and a region where we want the resource to be created. So in this case, I selected West Europe and I'm naming my Azure OpenAI resource as AI SDK demo. Select a pricing tier and click on next. So at this point, validation is happening, and after the successful validation, let's go ahead, click on create button. This starts the deployment process in Azure. So after a few minutes, the resource would be created and deployed. So let's go ahead and click on Go to Resource. At this point, we are inside the Azure OpenAI resource we just created. Let's go to keys and endpoint. So here, this is the endpoint for the Azure OpenAI resource and the keys that are required for authentication. Any of these keys, key 1 or key 2, will work. So make a note of these. We will need these at a later point of time when we are about to run our demo application. So here's the demo application. Let's go ahead and use that endpoint and keys in the demo application. So I'm copying the endpoint and then putting it here, and let's go ahead and copy a key. I'm putting the key here as well. All right, let's go ahead and run this. And there is a chance you get this error. So if you do, this is because your SAP Application server does not have the required certificates. So let's see how to resolve this error. So to do that, let's go ahead and get the certificate. So copy the endpoint one more time. And then in a new tab, paste that endpoint URL. All right, so this is expected, but what we are interested in is getting the certificate. So click on that lock icon, the secure icon, and then go ahead and export the root certificate. So let's go to the details tab, then select the root certificate and click on the export button. So I'm saving that certificate in a folder. Okay. Let's go ahead and save this. Okay. I've now saved the certificate. So let's switch back to the SAP application server. And we go to the transaction S-Trust. All right, in S-Trust, this time we want to go into the SSL client standard. So let's go ahead and open up that group. Let's go to change mode. And we are going to import that certificate we just saved. So click on the import button and let's give the file path. Right? Okay. Click on add to certificate list. All right, and then go ahead and save. Okay. Now that we have installed the certificate, let's go back to the demo program and execute it. We're going to give the very same parameters, the base URL, endpoint, and one of the keys. Either key 1 or key 2 will work. I'm just using key 1 here. All right, let's go ahead and execute this. And this time you should see the program stop at the breakpoint, and let's inspect the model list variable. And we do see that all the models are listed here. If you're seeing the screen, that means the communication is successfully happening with your Azure Open AI endpoint. So in this video, we have set up an Azure Open AI resource. We got the endpoint and the key for that resource. We applied this endpoint and key and ran the model demo program. Along the way, some SAP application servers may have an issue with the missing certificate. We saw how to resolve that. And then we successfully ran the model demo program. So this completes the setting up of AI SDK. So in part 1, we saw how to install the AI SDK into your application server. And in this video, the part 2, we saw how to set up an Azure Open AI resource. In future videos, we will start diving deeper into how to use AI SDK, how to initialize it, working with each of the demo programs. There are demo programs for models, deployments, files, fine-tuning, completions, chat completions. We'll dive deeper into each of those demo programs and see how it all works. Thank you for watching and see you in next video.